right, time now for our press review. Diptyka Laurent joins me in the studio for a look at the main stories. Diptyka, hello to you.
Hi,
the top story, of course, today, violence in Gaza on Monday, that's looking set to continue today.
That's right, and the pan-Arab paper Al Arabi Al Jadid is talking about it on their front page, evoking what they call the anger of the Nakba, or catastrophe. Gazans, like this protester on the front page, marched towards the border with Israel yesterday in deadly clashes. Now, a lot of the other papers, like L'Orient Le Jour, which is a French-language Lebanese paper, they're focusing more on this juxtaposition of this violence with the joy of the opening of the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem on Monday. Now, the paper talks of, quote, Israeli euphoria with a taste of Palestinian blood. That, as you said, could continue on today.
Right, well, that's also quite evident in the illustrated press today.
I hereby declare the embassy open. That's what Ivanka Trump says in this cartoon by Moreland, who's a Times cartoonist. You see her father, Donald Trump, there with Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli prime minister. Rather than the traditional ribbon-cutting ceremony, they're literally pulling apart a dove representing the seeming death of the peace process with Palestine. While the New York Times cartoonist Shapat, he shows Ivanka Trump and her husband, Jared Kushner, walking down the red carpet to the new U.S. Embassy, but that's a red carpet clearly bloodied by the deaths of Palestinian protesters.
Right, well, you are seeing mixed reactions from the opinion pages today, Dipty.
Well, let's look at Haaretz, which is an Israeli left-leaning daily. In their editorial, they call on the Israeli army to, quote, stop the bloodbath. This as Palestinians are set to head to the Gazan border fence once again this Tuesday. You're not seeing the same kind of sympathy, though, from the Wall Street Journal, which says that Palestinians need to accept that Israel isn't going anywhere. And the paper says, as they commemorate Nakba today, it's clear that as long as this, quote, bitterness animates Palestinians, their suffering will continue.
All right, well, in other world news, the appointment of a new president in Catalonia is also making some headlines.
That's right. His name is Quim Torra. He's a hardline secessionist who joined parliament 6 months ago. He's promised to govern on behalf of all Catalans. That's what the pro-independence Catalan paper Ara reports on its front page. Now, for the website Politico, Catalonia may finally have a, quote, clean leader, one who's not in prison or exiled. But the nightmare will continue for Spanish leader Mariano Rajoy, for many because of the fact that Torra is seen as Carles Puigdemont's puppet. Indeed, the Catalan paper El Periódico reports that Torra's first trip today will be to Berlin, where he'll be meeting with the exiled Catalan separatist leader.
All right, well, let's focus now, Dipty, on a story from India. A high-profile opposition MP who's been charged with the death of his wife.
That opposition politician, Rochelle, is a well-known author as well and a former UN official. His name is Shashi Tharoor. He's now been charged with helping his wife, Sunanda, commit suicide in 2014 in a Delhi hotel. That's what the Hindu newspaper explains on its front page. BuzzFeed explains that for the past 4 years, the death of Sunanda Pushkar was the stuff of morbid fascination in the Indian media. Indeed, it was a very high-profile death that gained a lot of media attention at the time, mainly because of the mysterious, murky circumstances of her death. An initial autopsy showed signs of harm to her body, but that autopsy was later disqualified with speculations about whether she committed suicide, whether she OD'd, or whether she was indeed murdered. Tharoor, for his part, has always maintained that she accidentally OD'd. He's denied the charges, with some suggesting that this could all be just a ruse for political revenge by Narendra Modi, the Indian Prime Minister, conspiring to hurt the opposition party.
All right, well, next, a group of aviation experts have put forward an alarming theory about the fate of the doomed Malaysia Airlines flight MH370.
That's right. This is a pretty, it's not just an alarming theory, a sad one as well. The Washington Post reports a new chilling revelations by a team of aviation experts. The panel told Australian TV on Sunday that it's possible that the flight crashed due to a murder-suicide plot led by the chief pilot Zahari Ahmad Shah. As evidence, they say he depressurized the plane, which essentially knocked out all the passengers. And they say would explain the total silence from the cockpit as the plane was plummeting. There was no mayday call. There was no final goodbye text. There was no attempted emergency call. So for this panel, if it is true, they've called it an act of premeditated mass murder.
Okay, and finally, on a lighter note, I'll admit I'm excited about it. I am counting down the days. Prince Harry.
Are you really?
And Meghan's wedding. I just want to see the dress, actually. Many are in the throes of royal wedding fever, let's say.
Well, I guess, Rochelle, you're either sick of hearing about it or you can't get enough. If you're more of the latter, well, this story from the French version of Huffington Post is sure to tickle your fancy. As with any major royal event, there's a line of commemorative merchandise, mugs, tea towels, plaques, that kind of thing. Well, one British company is now offering, or rather, they're going the extra mile, selling swimsuits emblazoned with the faces of Meghan and Harry, as you see in that picture there, complete with, I must say, the very questionable beard placement of Prince Harry on that swimsuit. Nothing like standing out on the beach this summer, right?
Yeah, but maybe not very flattering.
Not very flattering, no.
All right, Dipti, thank you very much for our roundup of the papers. And of course, to our viewers, if you do want to see more, you know where to go. You can log on to our website at france24.com.